case you didn't know who's coming through, I like to introduce myself. I am
the ear doctor. The ear doctor.
That's right, and this is no other than the Remix Morning Show right here on Black Power Media, yo. And we got a good show here for you today, so get ready as I bring through one of the hosts with the most straight from the East Coast. He goes by the name of Dr. Jared Paul.
Yo, that's a strong intro.
Let's get it.
That beat right there is
R.I.P.
classic.
Big up to Marley Marl.
Marley Marl, oh man, he laced that one beautifully.
He was the one that brought in the samples and into the hip hop world. So I mean, just chopping it up and doing stuff like that with arrest the president is ridiculous.
Just yesterday, I was watching another clip from DJ Premier's. So I want to say, So What You're Saying. I forgot what he calls his YouTube channel, but where he breaks down the history of his beat making, and this one was for the track for Come Clean, and oh man, so he talks about where he found that sample, how he heard that boop 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 boop, but my point is he was crediting Marley for his production style. And saying that he saw, and even down to the equipment, he said he saw Marley Marl standing next to some,
keep going with this background music.
I just have so many memories of. I was even telling my daughters playing this on the way to school yesterday, of being in the club where it's initially kind of quiet, and then you hear that boop boop boop, the DJ drops it, and the place just.
Man,
you want to front what? Jump up and get buck. If you feel a lucky duck, then press. But he said, but to your point, he was saying, Premier said I saw Marley standing next to some super whatever in some picture. He said I gotta have that because that's the producer dude, and it influenced Premier, who is still my favorite.
Yeah.
So.
You know who had a dope interview? Goddamn Drink Champs once again. That DMC interview, man. DMC don't even need nobody to interview him. I mean, he just straight hitting you with the stories like bam, bam, bam. I mean, you know how Nori will interrupt you while he's interviewing? He couldn't even get a chance. DMC was just hitting him with stories. I mean, so much jewels being dropped. Like him being like a comic book nerd back in the day and getting put on. It just was writing rhymes for itself. And next thing you know, Run was like, yo, you going to be in the group with me. And the fact that Run has been rhyming and DJing since 15.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different breed, especially when you look at, because him being the son of Curtis Blow, Curtis Blow's DJ, Run, and then going from watching like them do it in the park, the Crash Crew, all these different crews that was doing it before music got on the record. Seeing them is like seeing like the authentic rawness of being able to move the crowd back and forth styles with the DJ. And then you look at now we like, yo, these dudes ain't performing. It's no chemistry. It's no shit like how the Four Tops will have their routines and like how the Furious 5 will be on stage with their routines, outfits, costumes. And now you look at it, it's just like they just doing it for a check now. It's ridiculous.
A number of people have written about and talked about this in a variety of ways, but the reality is, for the most part, once anything you do becomes your job, it starts to lose some of its varnish. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of, from the beginning, people were doing hip hop with no illusions of fame and wealth. That's it. Yeah. And peace, love, and having fun was maybe the original tagline or whatever. But once it becomes a pathway for some to get out, it just changes everything.
Because your creativity is out the window. Yeah. You might be a little creative. You'll keep a little bit of creativity, but then you'll be like, all right, how can I sell? How can I? What do I need to say? And that's what I've been talking about with my classes. I play like a lot of their trap music, and then I'll play some stuff like Mobb Deep, Remy Ma, and I'll be like, notice the different themes in the song. You got to have violence. You got to have disrespecting women. You got to have braggadocious lyrics. You got to have some type of either jewelry or she got to have a bag. It's got to be materialism. But let's bring a hip hop aficionado in. No other than Kamal K. Franklin.
Oh wow, that's what we're calling him today. That's what he is today.
If we're going to be honest, yes.
Just today.
Yeah. What are you pondering that you need my expert opinion on?
Well,
aficionado in this one.
I was talking about how in my classes I talk to the students about the different themes that's in all these different songs: violence, drugs, sex, and it's just like certain themes that have to be in the songs to sell. So therefore, they're in every song nowadays. And I ain't just want to beat them up with the songs they got. I went back to Remy Ma playing Annie Up and like, yo, she talk about, Annie Up, she'll beat you down, hand over this, that, and the third.
With a bad.
Yeah, there you go. I dig it. So the theme has been ongoing for a while, just to be like, all right, let me sell albums. It seemed like that. Or let me play this tough guy role. And I talked about toxic masculinity. Oh man, I be going off, yo. I gotta come to one of my classes.
I think.
What?
I don't even know what to say. I would almost be afraid to do that, but I think what we should do, what I think we should do is have you give us a version of your class here.
Oh,
that's what I think. You should do.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
You should do classroom segments for BPM.
Oh, it's part of your breaks, yeah.
Or
So we can all, or do even a whole show.
Yeah.
In the classroom with the ear doctor.
I like
Oh.
that.
Naka
I like
Ponders.
that. Wait, that's a book now. So that.
Okay, my bad. Well, you could use that for the text. And all power to the teachers,
Yeah. They
There it
they
is.
feel the same way.
There it is. Great idea. That's what we do
What you
on a
got
daily
going on,
basis.
Kamal?
I'm sorry, I was stuck. I'm good, yo. I got the kids off. I'm in my third area room.
I was just saying that.
The internet seems to be working. We're working on that basement.
All
I'm gonna
right.
get my own little private office. I could put my books up. It's gonna take a little while longer. Up until then, I get shoved into different rooms depending on where it get feels like I belong.
Nice.
Did you get to pick the office space?
Not that I know.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, in fact, yesterday she was picking out. So we like the whole basement is supposed to be done, and it's supposed to be like my man cave. But she picked out the bathroom tile, the floor, the bathtub.
Wow.
She did.
My man cave.
Like
My bad. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, she did give me like 3 seconds of viewing after she chose, but
With me, it's like she'll be like, so I'm gonna let you. So what tile would you like, or what carpet would you like? This one, right? This is the one you want, right? Yeah.
Speaking of a woman's touch, let's bring in Kimberly Brown.
Good morning. Good morning,
morning.
everybody.
No, I don't really hear Kimberly too much. That's that's a good. Yeah, we should call you
J.
Kimberly.
Brown.
Does anybody in your life call you Kimberly at this stage?
Like when your mom gets mad at you.
My mother, yes. My mother does call me Kimberly. Kimberly. Now, when you hear the whole Kimberly, I'm in actual trouble.
That has to be an African American name.
Kimberly?
Yeah.
No.
You think Kimberly
It's not going back to Africa.
It's made up. It's a European name.
Kimberly's not going back to Africa.
It's definitely not going back.
Kim doesn't go nowhere to Africa. It doesn't point anywhere towards Africa. The closer it gets to Africa is the black people who are named Kimberly.
Accurate. Yes.
In America, African American name. Thus, that's what I said. It wasn't before Africa America.
No, there's a lot. I mean,
There's a lot of white Kimberly.
There's a ton of white Kimberlys. Like, and more specifically, there's a good amount of Kimberly Browns. Like when I do searches for myself, it's 100 chicks pop up. Kimberly Brown, black and white.
Yeah. You only, I mean, you probably only know mostly black folks, but you only know black Kimberlys. What you're saying?
Lil Kim.
And then down at the corner store, I know Kim. Kimberly.
Shut up, man. Just stop. Just stop it. Stop it.
On his way to teach the kids.
On his way, exactly.
They know. They the ones who be stealing the candy out of the store.
Oh,
Wow.
Jeez. Let's go with all the racial tropes. Let's go
I know,
with
I
it.
was gonna say,
Let's
it's
not stop.
stereotypes.
Let's go. Are they not true? Did y'all not used to steal from the corner store when y'all was little?
That's
I did.
irrelevant.
Oh,
That's
wait a minute.
irrelevant.
No, that got to be with irrelevant. What do you mean?
That's irrelevant.
there were no
When-
Kims. No, there were no Kims in the store.
Whatever.
No,
I did. I got caught. I was bad too.
got
I
caught?
was bad. I got caught. My
Bad
the,
beef. Bad
dude
beef.
the dude caught me. The dude caught me after, multiple. I mean, I went back to doing it again, but I was routine with it. Like, not from people, but from early on in life. My principles, philosophically, I'm not opposed to stealing from major corporations.
Not at all.
Agreed.
Yeah. I was
so-
Mr. Woolworths back in the day, and in the corner store. And one time I stole the Slurpee from 7-Eleven.
Damn.
Got up to the corner, had it in my jacket, and he's like, "You gonna pay for that?" I was like, "Oh yeah."
A Slurpee.
A block
A
away.
Slurpee.
Bro, how do you walk out? You walk out with the slipper in your jacket.
Yeah, that's
And it was cold. Why the fuck was I trying to steal a Slurpee?
Because you was
Ah,
nice
just
with that
to do
shit
it.
there, doctor.
Hey,
just
I'm
to do
nice.
it.
I'm nice as still, man.
I think I told you, like, this Annika's white boy taught me how to really steal. He's going professional now. He's like, I can't, I don't want to name him, whatever. But
Please
he was
don't.
like,
Don't.
he was Anarchist, and he's like, yo, no, we used to work at the same spot, and then afterwards we went to the store, and he was like, watch, and we were like, you're not 30. I was in my 30s. He was in his 20s, and so I'm not following him too closely, but he's like, he does the dip. Nobody's following him. He's tucking things in his bag. He's like looking at labels. He's tucking more things in his bag. He's friendly with the dude, the cashier. Boom, bing, bang. This is like in the village, and he's just out. His bag is literally like stuffed like a Christmas fucking stocking full of stuff. And it's like, really? Is that the world we live in? Really?
I think they account for white theft, right? Like, it's way easier to steal when no one's following you, right? When no one's watching you, when no one's paying attention to your actions, you can steal like shit out here, and that's the advantage that the whites have over the rest of us.
Sensibel said he's white.
That nothing.
He's white.
No glass. Yeah, no glass. Lockdowns. Like in all the drugstores now. None of that.
As long as you don't fall for the trick of thinking you can do it too, you'll be all right. Just don't fall.
Look at Kamau, all the knowledge, all the wisdom in that situation. Kamal's like, I don't want no parts of this shit,
Yeah,
That's the
I just
setup.
feel like, wow.
because I know who's going to jail if we get caught.
Yeah. No, by that time I was a lawyer, so I was like, yeah, it don't make no sense no more.
Let's stop
Nah.
incriminating ourselves and go ahead and take a break and get back to some news.
Statute of limitations has expired, my good brother.
You
We
are
good.
So right. You are
Yeah.
so right. So some other things I'm just playing. All right, so
I'm almost too legit now. Like, I feel almost guilty. Like, I need to go do some kind of crime today. Something. I need to go
it's
steal
like a
something
rush
today.
though. It's still a rush. Like just
don't
sometimes
commit no
even if
crime.
you just buy you're checking out the checkout and you right by the candy thing and you just like.
Well, you know what the Gen Zers are doing, right? With the allegedly, and for this to be only attributed to Gen Z, I think is interesting. But what they're claiming is that the self checkouts, especially at the grocery stores, like the kids will take, like a packet of gravy that's $1.49 and put that underneath the $27 steak, and then scan that junk.
Oh, that's
scan it.
that self checkout is a murder.
Woo! Woo!
Good for them.
Yes.
No, the deterrent for me is just that I know the next time I do something, it will get caught, and that'll be the headline. And I just the fear of my children opening up their phone and being like Morgan State professor, and the thrill that it would give the administration to be able to use that against me. I just can't have that. I just can't have that. So I gotta stay.
James told the truth. How do you steal a country, though? We small time.
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Very true. You know,
That's
I
it.
realized the other day though, real quick, when I went into the store with a bag, walked in, and then walked back out. How they gonna stop you? They don't know
What do you mean you walk in with a bag?
Like one of the grocery bags, like in a Kroger or something like that. Yeah.
But don't they got the beeper things that go off? The beep, beep, beep.
That shit is just
Not
for
on
show.
food.
That shit is for show. I mean, especially in the hoods. Them shits don't ever work. Anyway, let me stop. All right, I got kids watching. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break right here, and we're going to come back right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah, what's good, everybody? Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and I am here to rock you. In case you didn't know, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com and join over there, become a member, and you'll see some things that you won't see here. So I got a little small segment right here. We're not going to go too deep. Yesterday I did the whole who had the best catalog with Sister Sledge, the Pointer Sisters, and En Vogue. So I was thinking today, who had the best white and black duo? Who had the best white and black duo? So I thought about two songs, and one of them is Say, 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 and the other one is Easy Lover. Now, I don't know if y'all know about Easy Lover, but that was a hard one too now. You can't front on Phil Collins and, man, listen. These both songs was pretty dope. But Easy Lover came out in, what was it, like, damn, how I forget the date already. Okay, 1984. Came out in 1984, and they got together. This was on Philip Bailey's solo album. So this was on his solo album, his first solo album, and he made it to the top 40 with this song by getting your boy on there. So that's what it was with that. And then you had Say, 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 which came out actually on Paul McCartney's album. And this was like a year before they did The Girl Is Mine. That's another one they did where they teamed up. So I'm just wondering, what are y'all thoughts on this? Who had the best song out of these two? Easy Lover or Say, Say, Say? Well, let's see what my crew say, say, say. Aha!
First of all, that cover.
I know. What come on Philip Bailey? Was that his drug addicted years?
Oh, I'm talking about the other one. Michael Jackson McCartney cover looked crazy.
That was from the video.
Well, whatever it was, looked crazy.
Mm-hmm. You remember?
But the Phil and Phil song is way better, by the way.
Easy Lover?
Hands down.
Way better.
Down.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Not even close.
We're not even going to talk about how the beat changed and Say, Say, Say.
It's not a good song, man. I told you Paul McCartney was on a sabotage mission in the early 80s trying to team up and do songs with Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder and putting out these very mediocre offerings. It's like, what are you doing? Leave Michael and Stevie out of this. Leave Michael and Stevie out of your mediocrity, please. And thank you, Paul McCartney.
That was the British invasion. That's right.
And it was a little incest in the Say, Say, Say video. LaToya, that's right. It had LaToya Jackson in there. She was the love interest, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But, man.
Can I put up a mention, honorable mention for black-white collab?
Okay.
As you call it, a duel, even though I think it's a duet, but okay.
Duet, two people. Go ahead.
Let me offer up, if I could, please, Michael McDonald and James Ingram. Y'all gonna be there.
I'm gonna be there.
Yo.
I'm gonna be there.
That's a jam, shorty.
He can. Dude is that's a nice shout out. I like that one. Michael McDonald. Dude is nice.
Or Michael McDonald and Patti LaBelle.
Yeah.
Patti LaBelle.
That was a jam.
Yeah, it was.
On my own. That was a jam. That was a jam.
Like it used to be.
That's right.
But obviously is there a more powerful black white duo than Rick James and Tina Marie?
True.
That might be the best one.
The top of the swirl charts.
True.
Marie never got invited back to a family holiday dinner after that. It was like, nope, you've made your decision.
But shout out to my homeboy, the hardcorest nationalist I've ever met. The only brother I've ever known to stand firm. It was like even she can't come to the cookout.
Oh,
Damn. Marie.
Yeah, I was like, I thought for sure, and he was like, no, none. 0, none. We barely letting you in. None. No.
when
None.
you rapped on Square Biz, I rolled out the red carpet. I was like, come on, sis, get you a plate.
Yeah.
Snapped on Square Biz.
Nobody knew
snapped
she
on
was white until, you know what I mean?
That's right. You're right. Nobody did know she was white until. That's right.
The first time you saw a video, you were like, when's she coming out? When's she coming out? Where's Tina at?
Where's Tina? Who was that white woman?
Who's that white woman? Where?
What they do with Tina? What did that white woman do with Tina?
All right, enough of my black power rhetoric. All right, I'll catch y'all there on the next break. Peace.
Oh man, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Listen, can I before we get to anything serious, can we stay in the silly lane? Because I saw something. This is it's fast. I'm really struggling with my contradictions with this show, but I was watching again the Mace and Cam sports show, and it made me proud to know that I've been in comradeship with people like Kamal and others who have been struggling to preserve the legacy of Malcolm X despite all attempts, filmic and written literature, because and this clip, oh my goodness, to me proves the point of why I think when people ask, why do you pick on movies and why do you criticize art and this, that, and pop culture? So the quick context is they're talking about a phrase that they popularized on their show where they say there's a major concern where ear hustling leads to pillow talking, which leads to backstabbing. And in the specific context is they're making the argument that women, and of course females get their you're right. They get their men in trouble.
Oh shit.
By ear hustling something else and then going home with their man in the pillow talk, whispering, so-and-so got such and such, and you don't have such and such. And then the dude hears all of that, gets the battery in his back, and then goes out and backstabs his homeboy to get what he thinks he should now have that his woman has now put him up to. All right, so that's the quick context. Again, ear hustling leads to pillow talking, which leads to backstabbing. To make his point...
Isn't this like Adam and Eve? Isn't that what Eve did? Eve was created as a helper for man and then came and corrupted man. Now woman done fucked up man forever.
We were all right. We were on our way, and then y'all had to say, eat the apple. Mm-hmm. So this is how he ends up trying to make his point. I don't know.
Totally wrong about this. I'm just going to use movies, and I'm not saying the movies are right or wrong or anything else. I'm just talking about street niggas I know, and niggas that I know from afar, and I don't want to put them into it, so I'll stick to a movie.
Yeah.
Malcolm X's wife said, we ain't getting shit from the nation.
Yeah, I can't stand what you want.
Even Mace is leaving.
Even Mace is back. I'm talking about a movie. I ain't saying happened in real life.
I'm not be on camera with you.
Ew.
Hey man, I'm just telling y'all, I'm not knocking you for not. I'm throwing off a movie. I don't know what happened in real life. I'm using only.
That's my point.
I'm using only movie scenarios. I'm not saying this happened in real life.
The movie.
You don't like murder. Ain't got nothing to do with this. This is purely me. She said, what is the nation giving us?
Oh my God.
He said, what you want, some more clothes? You want some more, what do you want? The nation to give us? I want what's right. I'm only going off what I see in the movie. I don't know. I'm going off movie. I'm not going to keep it close to home.
Exactly.
Don't get mad at me. Get mad at Spike Lee if you want to get mad at anybody. He wrote the movie. So don't, if they come at me talking about Kim and you, I know I'm watching a Spike
Killer.
Lee movie. This is Spike Lee and this watching it.
Killer. Let me chime in.
Yeah,
Listen.
no problem, go ahead.
Now makes
So
the
pillow
reason,
talking,
the voice of reason.
the pillow talking cause you to start questioning. Now, what women do very well is they ask you a question, but it's really questioning. So if I say, case in point, if I say, is your name Cameron? That's a question.
Yeah,
But if I go, you ain't really Cameron.
right.
Question.
All right. So they go on and on and on and on. But I saw that and I said, that's why we do what we do. Because without the criticism, without any attempt to criticize, that is the end result. He when he said the line, I don't know, I'm just going off a Spike Lee movie. And I'm using that to make a very real point in real life. That's what I'm saying is the overall. So,
but that's not the overall, Jared. To me, the overall
go
is
ahead.
the denial and the projection about jealousy and gossip as being traits that women do. When everybody who know man know that the biggest gossips and the biggest jealousy and the biggest haters comes from the men. It really does. They be hating on each other, be your own niggas, literally. So for them to try to project these characters,
That's in the background going, "Amen, sister."
Who is? Oh, yeah.
In the background going, "Amen."
Shout out to the goddess. Shout out to the goddess in the back. But look, I'm telling you, like, please knock that. And to your point, Jared, yes, the misinformation about Malcolm X and Spike Lee and did all this shit. No. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of the shit. These men are projecting their own behaviors onto women because they can't own up to how they actually behave themselves in terms of gossip, jealousy, and then backstabbing. That's the big overall takeaway for me from that clip.
Takeaway is I'm glad Mace is doing okay.
Cam didn't sound so good. He over there. Go get that COVID checked on, my guy. What's happening?
I was like, what happened to Mace? Oh, Mace got a whole little like pot. I had no idea about the pot. I think you spoke about it before and you did another clip before. That didn't dawn on me. I was like, wait a minute. That's Mace. That's Mace. Oh my God. My bad.
It's easily my number one contradiction now. It's my number. I don't know how long this is going to last, but they are, and this is, and Kim, you're exactly right.
I'm sorry.
It's incredibly popular. They're hundreds of thousands, millions of views. They're all over the place. They're getting interviewed on and doing interviews with all the major. They have all these connections to athletes and entertainers and other.
And they're God in the world Christian. He's still like big time Christian.
Maybe.
He still talks about the church, but it's clearly not in the same. I mean, he definitely has a different relationship to religion that he had at one point, because they're in there. It is a wild, wild show. And Kim, to your point, I'm very glad you're exactly right. And this is exactly why I feel it's important to work in collectives, because that was a blind spot for me in that moment. I'm only hearing the media, the Jared's right. That's all I'm hearing. But you're exactly right, because the whole show, and it's also part of it is the whole. I mean, it's a terrible contradiction, I have to admit. So again, I don't know how long it's going to last. But they and the sister that hosts sort of.
She's like the calm one, or the one that's like calm down.
Yeah, but sometimes I just feel so sorry for her, because they go into, when they start talking about their careers and they get very explicit. And then Mace had to even basically tell Cam, during the show the other day, and then Joe Budden, it's like a new controversy because Joe Budden's podcast and Melissa Ford picked up on some of this and started accusing them tacitly or indirectly accusing them of some stuff. But the point is, they started talking about their past careers together, like their histories and their sexual exploits, and they got very explicit. Like, it was too much. It was like, I was like, oh my goodness, this is too much. And Mace had to even say at one point, we have to just remind everybody that everything was consensual, and there were not, because everything happening with Diddy now. I think we're probably going to get to some of that today. And that's Mace's environment and Cam's environment, all of them Harlemites and real tight with, oh man.
But see, what you just
But,
played to
yeah.
me was an example of the lightweight misogyny that is just
No
you know,
question.
casual, everyday conversation. Of course, these females, let me tell you what these females be, and then the female like that's what it is. That's what women hear, right? That's I hear lightweight misogyny. That's all I hear. Sure, it's banter. It's it's friendly. It's meant to be in the spirit of humor or whatever. But that undercurrent of you bitches. That undercurrent of you bitches is always
it's not
there.
an undercurrent, it's an overcurrent. It's a
Overcurrent, there we
flooding wave on that show.
Tsunami
Like I'm
of you
saying, it's
bitches.
a tsunami of bitches and hoes and very explicit. I was like, yesterday was me kind of going back on a habit because I had after that discussion the other day, I was like, I think I got to take a break. I was like, I can't. This is too much.
Kamal,
This is too much.
he's Murder Mace on this show. He's not Pastor Mace.
Oh,
Murder
Yeah, he's
Mace.
murder. Right, he does. He's referred to as Murder Mace, but they talk about his church connections all the time, and he apparently has all these connections around the country, and he's in dialogue with them, and he still wears his big. They all have the big cross jewelry and all that. I don't know, to what extent that's meant to reflect anything specifically religious but yeah, it's a lot, but I can't also deny that I laugh almost uncontrollably at times when I watch it. I mean, but it's all inappropriate. It's like never an appropriate joke. Like it's never a joke I would share, even maybe with my wife. It's like really, like it's just crazy.
The fact that they have OJ as a co-host is just enough.
And then that's the other thing. OJ is a regular correspondent. Yes, thank you for that, Ear Doctor. Yes. That's very wild, and they love it. And they also have a relationship with Maurice Claret as a correspondent with as well, who not quite to the level of OJ, but had his own issues with the law that was argued to have claimed his own career at one point, his potential rising career. So they have all these very.
OJ comes on and does what?
He comes on. He's in his house.
Okay.
He comes on in his house and he does like what a correspondent might really do and what he may have used to do when he was, he's like, and I was watching the game and Patrick Mahomes and I think he is a great, when I was a running back.
OJ used to call the games back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, OJ had a real career. I mean, OJ was the white man's favorite.
White man's favorite. OJ running through the airport.
He got the endorsement deals. He was in the movies. Mm-hmm. He married the white woman that he later killed. He divorced a black woman who got, in this case, she was very lucky because I think there was accusations of abuse during their marriage. Even. I think so.
There was, and if the ESPN, I rarely credit mainstream media this way, but that series they did. Made in America, OJ Made in America. I highly recommend it. It is to me the best mainstream media discussion of race, class, media, sports, like the politics of all of that. They get into the whole Hertz background, and you hear the dude who directed it is on there. And my favorite line is when he says, he's on camera and he says, OJ, he looked African, but not, but a good looking African, and then they have the white man on there who said, I was talking to OJ and OJ's telling me a story, how he overheard white women at a table next to them saying, oh, look at OJ sitting at that table full of niggers. And the white dude says, I turned to OJ and said, OJ, oh my God, that must have been so painful for you to hear. And he said, no. OJ turned to me and said, no, don't you get it? They didn't see me as a nigger.
Oh, Jesus. Bye, OJ.
And the white dude turns to the camera. He said, at that moment, I knew he was fucked. That's his quote. And he was like, even the white man was like, he was like, even the white man was like, oh.
It's all good. You're going to go too far.
He was like,
you're going to go too far.
You know who saw you as a nigga, OJ? The criminal justice system when they put your ass to fucking jail for stealing back your own shit. Okay, that's what black people go to jail for, stealing back their own shit. But
all of them.
It's just to my point, y'all. There's no such thing is cancel culture. You can murder your wife. Everyone can know that you murdered your wife. And some wayward motherfuckers would be like, you know what? Let's get this nigga on the show and let him give us some commentary.
Well,
Talk about sports,
he was
OJ.
canceled for a long time. I mean, and this is not the come. I mean, is this the come up for him? This is probably the only job he can get. I mean, I'm not. He's been, and rightfully so. I'm not even suggesting that he deserves to get anything whatsoever. You know, I mean, obviously he was, you know, at the trial, proven to be not guilty.
Yes.
So you know, but
come on.
But
Okay,
he was.
But did you not?
Let's say even
Oh,
if
man.
we
Then
know
they went
what
after him again. Like all his money was gone. Not all of it. Like a lot of his money was taken away. And again, rightfully so in terms of the civil lawsuit.
Yeah, he gets
definitely.
his NFL pension. Not to say that they should have left OJ just wearing a barrel.
I don't even know what he gets. He's got friends that, you know, the other thing though is he got friends who got money who never did cancel him.
Right.
So he's still out on that golf course or whatever. But he got mainstream. Canceled. He can't do any more commercials, obviously. No one's going to have him on. What commercials is OJ doing?
He about to do a commercial for Mace and Cameron's very successful YouTube show. You understand? Like
they apparently have a deal with Cam's. I guess it's like his version of a Viagra product, Pink Stallion or something, Pink Horsepower or something like that. They run commercials during the show. And it looks like a rap video. It's got some scantily clad woman with a thong on and Cam sitting in some palatial estate waiting on her. She walks over to him with her jar of pink power.
Well, this is why we're fucked as a culture. Let me be that. Let me have a sad moment. This is why, you know, there's sometimes you're like, you know, it's all underneath it all, or whatever. But then there's times you look at it all, you go like, this is our mainstream. This is our version of some kind of mainstream culture that gets literally like these hundreds of thousands of views.
Hundreds of thousands, and they're doing interviews with Stephen A. Smith. They got athletes. They're in touch with like all. I mean, all the other big podcasters, Gillian Wallow, and all of them. They're like they're enormous.
Pause.
So
and also
right. Pause.
y'all are so silly. How y'all the silliest damn bunch of revolutionaries ever?
And also it's just barbershop sports talk. Really?
And that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. I just want us to be aware of the misogyny when we hear it.
Oh,
you
no
know what I'm
doubt.
saying? Like let's not ignore it. That's not that's just Cam and Mace. Yeah, that's Cam and Mace being some misogynistic assholes. Correct. That is Cam and Mace. But again,
Comfortably.
That's part of the mainstream ethos of the culture. It's like that's mainstream for the and not just the hip hop. Like they're old now, so it's not just like youth culture. And
that's right.
You can't even say hip hop culture because it surpasses that, but it passes as somewhat as the mainstream culture. I don't know, like publicized culture or TV culture or entertainment culture that we have. It's like that, all of the fighting shows and all that shit. That's when I get like, oh God, you know, like, you know, when you get your cringe moments. It's like when the first time you see Flavor Flav doing the fucking love shows or singing the national anthem, you're like, oh God, it's a cringe moment. Yeah.
No, I literally will go and binge BPM content after I watch some of that. I need a media diet and a shower, like a media cleansing. Like it's bad. I mean, it's bad. Like I'm not going. I mean, it's a huge contradiction, and it is. I think Kim, you're exactly right. It is a mainstream cultural thing. Mm-hmm. And
to it. You understand? Like, even if there are women in these spaces, normally they're there to fill a certain role. They're not there to push back or
to get away with saying that they're not sexist, right? They're basically to get away with saying we're not misogynists. Look, there's a woman on our show.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, there's that role, that female sidekick is one that's very, you know, narrowly typecast in our culture. There's not really a lot of space for women who will push back against that shit. If you don't giggle and kiki and all that, why are you so serious, man? Why you take everything so serious? How come everything gotta be blah blah? All right, niggas.
Robin Givens School of Broadcasting. You know what I mean? Like Robin Givens, who was the co-host of with Howard Stern And when I was a kid
Not
again,
Givens. What's her
Not
name?
Givens.
not, not,
It's,
not
it is Robin. It is Robin
like-
something. But I know who you talk. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm sorry, not Givens. My bad. But she was like when I remember my college, like I would listen to Howard Stern. Like I would like rush to get home to listen to the show or whatever.
Robin
Quivers. Thank you so much.
That's
Quivers.
it. Yeah.
And
Just be a whole bunch of Howard.
Exactly. And then it just reached that point where you're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, but he's saying, what is he saying? What is he saying? And she's laughing and cackling and she's doing her thing. And I'm just like, it was like after a while, it was, because it was obviously outside of our whatever culture. It felt like I was doing wrong. I was doing wrong. I was committing some sort of wrongful act that I needed to be punished for. I was like, I can't listen to this shit no more. But it was a solid year or whatever.
That's where I think I'm at with the Cam and May. I mean, like that's how I feel. Like I feel really guilty. I'm over there, and I'm not. I mean, I'm tears in my eyes, laughing, and I'm like, but this is so bad. This is so
wrong.
wrong.
A lot of it is funny. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the whole point. It's like mixed in there. That's how they get you.
Hey, real quick, if y'all tired of y'all lady co-hosts not being able to have a voice, not being able to disagree with the guys on the show, come to the Remix
Come over to
Morning
BPM.
Show.
Come on to the Remix Morning Show. We do not have that problem here.
Not at all. Not at all.
And in DC, as a kid, I remember Howard Stern was replaced by the Grease Man
Oh, wow.
in DC. And I remember because we used to listen to them at the bus stop in the morning on our little Walkmans and AM, the little radios that didn't even have headphone jacks in them. And I remember when the Grease Man did his line that got him in his version of canceled, where he in response to Dr. King's Holiday, he said, well, we should just kill 4 or 5 more and have the whole week. Get the whole week off. And
what was the other dude? The old creepy looking one who said the thing about
Imus.
Yeah, they all have
nappy headed hoes.
Yeah. Ern was the only one for all the crazy shit he said that never got really canceled. I mean, never lost any income. Not to use the word canceled. Never lost. It seemed never to have lost any income over his overtly racist remarks or whatever. He rode the wave. Yeah.
Howard Stern has done blackface a couple of times.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There is the infamous clip of when Howard Stern was still in DC and Petey Green, the legend Petey Green was still on the radio, and they had a public access show. DC, was that channel 50? Was it channel 20? What was it? But channel 54. But they
54,
had they had the little public access show. And Petey Green, I think they were talking about eating watermelon. This is a very famous clip that's online, and it's Howard Stern and Petey Green having this very racist conversation. And then later in Howard Stern's career, it's him and Sherman Hemsley. It's so bad. Like Howard Stern is in all blackface, and Sherman Hemsley, the god, George Jefferson, right? Anyway, but no, Howard Stern. There's so many. There's a lot of room for white folks. Let's just put it that way. They can do and say pretty much whatever they want and don't have to worry about whatever cancellation looks like. Even Howard Stern, who got suspended lots of times from Clear Channel because of FCC violations. What happened? SiriusXM just scooped him up, gave him the biggest broadcasting contract ever, and Howard Stern's been living life ever since.
Yeah, and usually not about race, right? But usually about like saying something or going too far with some sexual act on air or something on those lines. But the race stuff, because like you said, I can't even say that he walked the line because he was in blackface or whatever, but he never got canceled for that shit, or never got taken off the air or warrant for that, as opposed to the other folks or whatever. Yeah.
In the movie about his life, he made a point to let us all know he went to school with black kids.
Yeah, that was always his thing. Like he thought that was some sort of saving grace. He was like, I was the last white kid and blah, blah, blah. And I used to get beat up, blah, blah, blah. You didn't know my family was too poor to move out. So I hung with the whatever. It's like, okay.
I always like Private Parts, the movie. It's a very accurate movie about how the radio industry is and was. But you look at the movie and it's like, well, that's the shit Howard Stern as a white man went through. So imagine, just imagine what the women went through, what the black women went through and continue to go through. So as much shit as Howard Stern got, look at where he is now in his career. And trust me, he didn't get a quarter of the shit that women and black folks got. In
that movie, he named his nemesis boss Pig Vomit.
Pig Vomit, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And And I keep
WNBC. You gotta say like that, Howard. Say
I like it.
WNBC. Sorry.
But I keep thinking of that because at some point when I write my my memoir, I gotta have a name for my nemesis boss that rivals that, and it's gotta pig vomit is the standard, so I gotta have something because he's gonna get one. He's gonna get one, and it's gonna be dastardly and repeated throughout.
That's right.
Hey, big up to all the producers in the chat room talking about Slap the Map. We're in our entertainment news section right now, so we'll be
Somebody said we had story about Diddy. Did you say that, Jared? Is there?
We do. We could slap the map and make it official, but yeah, Sister Erica laced us, so let's go ahead and slap it then.
Right. Remix Morning Show in the building on Black Power Media. Today is Thursday, December the 7th. Thank you all so much for joining us. All of our viewers and producers joining us today in the chat. We appreciate y'all being here. It's Kim, Kamau, and Jared, and the Ear Doctor in the cut. We've already been rolling on a little bit of news, so let's keep this thing pushing with some Diddy news, because I'm here for Diddy news these days, because it's usually all bad news for Diddy, and I'm reveling in a little bit. So
I'm with you a little bit on that too, albeit a little bit of a trigger warning on this one. Just a heads up. I feel to do our due diligence. This one, this headline is monstrous. But as it says here, December 6th, in the Rolling Stone magazine, which has its own issues with leadership. But anyway, Sean Combs accused of gang rape of a 17-year-old in new lawsuit. Jane Doe alleges Combs' former bad boy president Harvey Pierre and a third man Harv and a third man trafficked and raped her at Combs' New York recording studio in 2003. And the outfit they have him pictured in is, I mean, somebody had fun with that, picking that one. Some elaborate.
Like every time
outfit.
there's a new accusation, that's the picture that they're using for him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Looking like a supervillain.
Look like a
supervillain.
Yeah.
With black roses and all kinds of, it's a wild. So Sean Combs, his longtime Lieutenant Harv Pierre, and a third unidentified man allegedly gang raped a 17-year-old girl inside Combs' recording studio in Manhattan in 2003 after the high school student was trafficked across state lines and plied with copious amounts of drugs and alcohol. An explosive new lawsuit filed Wednesday alleges. The new Jane Doe plaintiff, the fourth woman to accuse Combs of sexual assault in 3 weeks, alleges the men took turns raping her in a bathroom at Daddy's house recording studio when she was in high school and Combs was 34 years old. Combs vehemently denied Doe's allegations in a statement issued shortly after the lawsuit was filed. Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I've sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth, Combs says in the statement to Rolling Stone.
Kamau. Next steps for these lawsuits, unless Diddy decides to settle quickly like he did with Cassie. So I think this would make the third outstanding lawsuit. Cassie would make the fourth, which has been settled. But if he decides to go forward, if he decides to, quote, fight for his name and his legacy, what does that look like?
Well, for him, in terms of the public reckoning, so he will be forced to testify. He will be deposed in a deposition. Depending on any judge's order, my assumption is there's no reason. I mean, she was 17. There's things in terms of the media. Some media will, and I mean, this is more towards what the woman will have to go through. Some media will not release her name. There'll be others who I'm sure will. But so mostly this information will be within the public domain. And so again, this first pleading is this one way in which this information is going to get out there. She probably will also be deposed. Well, she will be deposed by Diddy's attorneys. And so that story will also get out there. So he's looking at a public reckoning. Again, this is not a criminal case as far as I could see. This is all civil lawsuits. So if he chooses to go forth and not to settle these lawsuits, which at this stage, it probably, like, from a legal strategy, it just makes sense, because to settle them implies a certain amount of guilt, again, from his point of view, from his lawyer's point of view. So even with the allegations now fully out there, several of them, it probably, from his point of view, makes sense to fight them publicly if he is to maintain any sense of I didn't do this stance or I'm innocent stance, because there's going to be a lot of ways where he's going to have to, again, there's no Fifth Amendment right here because it's not a criminal charge. So he's going to be deposed in this lawsuit if this lawsuit goes forward, and have to give either some version of events or just strictly deny or say he can't remember or whatever. So he's going to be put under the gun, for virtually speaking, in a sense where he's some things will be public information about the way the salaciousness of the allegations or whatever. So
I have questions about whether or not this lawsuit will even be allowed to go forward, because Jared, I'm not sure if it says this in the article, but it sounded as though it was filed in court this week. Was it filed in New York?
That is a good question.
The reason I ask about New York specifically is because the expiration date on filing lawsuits under the Adult Survivors Act happened, I think, on November 27th, which was the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. So that was the end of what the legislature passed, a year-long look back, or the ability for adult survivors to bring civil lawsuits. They only allowed that window open for a year, and that closed Friday the 27th, I believe. So if this lawsuit was filed in New York this week, I wonder if it'll even be allowed to go forward under the Adult Survivors Act.
It was, in fact, filed in the Southern District of New York.
Interesting.
Here is the actual.
So this is a federal case, to be clear. This is not a New York State case. The Southern District of New York is a federal court.
Right, because it was trafficking across state lines from Detroit to New York, is I believe where they said she was. And then here is, they apparently have a picture of, I think this is supposed to be her in the studio that day. But yeah. So,
okay. Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there was a picture of her sitting on his lap in the studio.
But they had her face blurred out.
Face blurred, correct.
Okay.
Yes. So.
Wow.
Even the fact that she was 17, and these are grown people. So again, my assumption is that if there's a statute, whatever the statute's limitations are, if that hasn't been extended, that means no criminal. But civilly speaking, even if they admit and try to say it's consensual, it is not consensual because she's 17. So even if the story is there was no, from their version, there was no drugs, that there was no alcohol, that she, quote unquote, was willing and wanted to, she's 17. So they're grown people. So that in and of itself can be a conclusionary sort of fact that goes to a statutory rape, civilly speaking, charge. So the fact that, her age alone, even if the other points are not, quote unquote, proven, or through a preponderance of the evidence, again, not a criminal trial. So there's supposed to be a lesser standard of what it takes to imply guilt or to make someone guilty. So her age alone shows a statutory criminal and civil violation that can be.
Is that the legal age of consent in New York, 17?
Someone is suggesting that in the chat that 17. To my knowledge, I would assume 18. But if they're right, then that may be something that's off the hook. But normally it's 18 and over to have consensual sex.
Consensual.
Yes.
And there's a statute of limitations on
their criminal
gang
statute.
rape?
I mean, this is 20 years. Like, is the accusation in 2003?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'd have to look and see what the statute is, but it very well could be, unless again there was some special legislative proceeding that extended the statute on it. Normally, like something like this would probably be 10, 15 years or whatever.
So again, guys, let me kick it to y'all. Let's kick it to the chat. Let's kick it even to the ear doctor in the cut, because let's say Diddy settles all these lawsuits, right? He just settles them, like he did with Cassie, no admission of guilt. These lawsuits have been resolved amicably. Can nobody come out and talk? All the NDAs have been signed, etc. Diddy's going to be allowed back into the fold. Like, you're going to see Diddy again as a major pop culture figure. Well, let me ask. I guess that's my question. Do you think, even if he resolves these lawsuits via settlement, we don't get all the tawdry details, etc., is Diddy going to be restored back in his place as a media icon? Let's say that.
Particularly in hip hop, yes. Mm-hmm. He's here at most. He'll have to take a 2 to 5 year break of again being some mainstream out there person. But you could even see Russell Simmons slowly sort of making their way back in or whatever, making some entree, people paying tribute, people mentioning his name again. So it's like you give it 2 or 5, like a 2 or 5 year kind of like, from his not Mark, what's the media, his media person, his PR person, Diddy, take a break, travel, let's cancel all any media appearances once we settle these things. Then let's slowly work on the plan to rehabilitate your image so that you can come back and, we'll start off with some honoree things, some lifetime achievement awards on certain hip hop shows. We'll give them a little resources or put somebody on, it's going to be some things like that. We'll get some podcasts to interview you on your side or that kind of thing. So there's going to be there'll probably be an arc in which mainstream folks won't touch him. Way mainstream folks meaning white folks, white corporations. But again, whether we like it or not, within hip hop culture, as you sort of alluded to earlier, the idea of misogyny and rape and talking about women in a certain way, it's never been dealt with. So there's going to be plenty of folks in the hip hop culture side who may not even need that kind of break. They either want the audience that comes with Diddy responding to it, or they want to show allegiance to Diddy because maybe he did something for their career. So there's going to be tons of ways in which whatever break that Diddy takes is going to be paved with the idea that he can potentially be sort of resuscitated in terms of being this cultural icon within a few years after, like you said, I think after somehow these trials dispose of themselves, whether or not he loses that trial or whatever, but I think something like that.
Now, B, I think is making a good point because we got to factor in that 50 Cent is going for the finishing moves. Yeah, 50 is after Diddy, trying to put him down for good.
Put that in context for us. What is 50 doing? We're the world's biggest troll.
He basically he been saying how Diddy got down, and then at the same time now he's talking about doing a documentary like how they did R. Kelly.
Surviving R. Kelly.
Yeah. He's talking about doing a documentary on him, and he was like, "Yo, I'll buy a revolt from you," because he put out saying that these companies are not going to invest in you no more. So I'll do it. I'll take revolt for you for a little bit of money. But what you were saying is pretty much like they're gonna take a hiatus. He gonna stay getting money in the background, and then it's just gonna be like, you can always be like, we were young and dumb then. You know what I'm saying?
34.
34.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, look
at 52, 34 looking pretty young and dumb to me.
I mean, look at the culture back in the 90s. Like one of his boys, Mark Curry, that worked with him at Bad Boys. This is what he had to say about what they used to do in the club with the bottles.
We used to have these bottles, right? And on this bottle, they be regular Moet bottles. On them bottles right there, they've been to have something to make the girls be real slippery and all of this kind of stuff.
Oh,
Drugs.
So when you get up, they be like, don't touch them bottles right there and only drink them bottles right there. So we already knew what the drill was. You just don't mess with them bottles, right? Then all of the girls is in the club after a while. They all running, opening up their mouth like little birds. He's running around just popping pills in their mouth. Pop, pill. And then that was the party. But all of the females that was in it, that's what they wanted. That was what party. It was part of the hip hop culture. We ain't see nothing wrong with it until Bill Cosby got in trouble.
Oh Jesus, we ain't see nothing wrong with it until Bill Cosby.
No,
God
the,
help
cla-
us.
the classic words, they wanted it. Yeah. They
And you know
wanted
what?
it. Yeah.
But here's the thing: there are women who show up to exclusively party with these rappers, to get drunk with these rappers, to get fucked up with these rappers, to end up having sex with these rappers. Like, there's no question about that. But when you have designated drinks, this is the drugged drink, this is the roofie bottle, and this is the non-roofie bottle, you're taking away people's consent. You understand? Like, you're not giving somebody the opportunity to say, yes, this is what I want to do, if you are applying them with drugs unbeknownst to them. Now, people who are willingly taking pills, they know what they're, I assume they know what they're doing, but when niggas drop the roofies and shit, no. Okay, that is
talking amongst themselves. It's like, you don't touch this.
right.
So all the dudes know.
All the dudes know.
All the
That's
dudes
crazy.
know. Yeah, no, my man, that's not for you. Don't do that. You do this one. This is for them. Right? So it's not like, so it's you know, like you said, there might be some consent, but it's not it's a diminished form of consent in the sense of one, if they don't know at all, but two, even in those situations, like they get invited to perform certain ways, to get close, to do things. So it's even a diminished form of consent, particularly after everybody's liquored up or everything else. So I mean, and again, there are certain things that we got, this is maybe when my conservatism pops out or whatever like that. This is part of a culture that has been thrust upon us, but that there's many of us who've fully endorsed at this particular stage. It's hard for us just to walk away and say it's all the corporations at this stage. Obviously, there's a lot of background stuff that leads us as all of us into, and people want to entertain themselves, enjoy, talk about experiences and so forth and so on. But if we don't do something in terms of either quote unquote calling it out, making shifts, changes, and the rest of it, there's a lot of that's like some of these cats have been involved in, and I'm sure what that the dude was talking about was like the tip of the iceberg in terms of activities and different things and different ways people got down, and people get a little money and go fucking crazy, right? And I mean, it's not exclusively our culture. Don't get me wrong. No, I'm not saying anything like that. But we also have to admit that we've adopted the idea of what it means to party, in a sense of like in this world of drugs, of taking advantage of people, and then piling it off in terms of like 20 years later. We were all young. They wanted.
This is a part of the entertainment business. I mean, this is what they've been doing. The word Mickey came out way before hip hop was even thought of. I mean, they've been slipping stuff in people's drinks and all types of stuff in the entertainment business for a while. And the funny thing is, like he said, we didn't see nothing wrong till Bill Cosby got accused. And that's wild.
The
but
men
it's like,
didn't see anything wrong.
Yeah,
The voiceless victims, I'm sure, saw plenty wrong with it. And that's a part of an argument I just don't buy. Like, I don't buy, well, I was young and I need the opportunity to learn and grow. What about that 17-year-old? You understand? Like, what was her opportunity to learn and grow? What did she learn while 34-year-old Diddy and his 30-plus-year-old peers were learning and growing about consent? Like, you violated and traumatized a teenager to the extent that we don't know how that may have impacted her life, the way she views relationships, or her ability to trust. Like, there's a myriad of things. So when I hear some dudes talk about, well, we had to learn and grow, and it's like, well, what about your victims? How did your victims learn and grow? Like, you understand? Like, people don't even acknowledge the trauma that they've left in their wake behind their quote learning and growing. And we was young, we didn't know better. Well, what about your victims? What did they know?
All right. Well, we need a break.
And then what does that?
Okay.
My bad. Just quickly, what does that say about the rest of us who didn't engage in that? Then, if they needed this idea that if is the suggestion somehow that those of us who quote unquote didn't need to go through that to learn to grow are somehow we're deformed or we're I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying like when they make that claim that we needed to learn to grow, what are you, not you, Kim, but what are they then saying about the rest of their peers who weren't doing all that?
Like the public, what they're saying,
like y'all, like y'all were lames or corny,
that's exactly
and that's why you didn't need to grow. I mean, yeah, it's all.
But this idea,
that was it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kamal. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying quickly. That's exactly what they're saying. Like outside of the public sphere, is like if you didn't participate or somebody tells a story and you don't find it as funny or as whatever, then obviously the culture of those who did is to point at you as like you was like, oh, you just mad because you wasn't invited, or you just or you this or you that or whatever. Not when you said earlier, Kim, like when they pointed out, oh, I think maybe their doctor after Cosby, then they knew it was wrong. It was like they didn't know it was wrong. Then they knew they could be indicted. Then they know that was
what they meant by wrong.
We can go to jail for this.
Go to jail for this shit. Yeah,
and I really don't like it, and when it's framed by mature people, men in their 40s, 50s, or whatever, like Cam and Mesa or whoever, Diddy, whoever, when we was young, we had to learn to grow. What does that say to younger men? Like, what does that say to young boys? Oh, well, if you don't understand consent, or if you intentionally don't understand consent, don't worry. You young, you gonna figure it out. But it's almost like giving an endorsement. Like you get to assault young men and young boys, you get to assault young girls because you're young and you don't know better. Like that. This is why I be so upset about lessons about consent. Like we got to be teaching these boys, your first grader, your second grader, your middle schooler needs to know about consent, your son and your daughter, but your son especially. You need to make sure your son is very clear about what consent is and what consent isn't, because I hope that there's parents out here teaching their daughters, you better be ready to fuck these young boys up if they try that dumb shit. Like, and I'm saying that out of concern for your son. Like, don't have your son get fucked up out here by a daughter who's been taught better about what consent is, what consent isn't, and if she feels violated, to take matters into her own hands if she so feels like it. Don't play the victim. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting all fired up.
No, it's all good. We're gonna take
some of these family rosters are deep.
Come on, tell them, Jared.
We're gonna take a break and come back because that was a lot. And as we on Remix Morning Show examine American culture and break it down for y'all so y'all can see the craziness we deal with every day. All right, let's go right here on the Remix Morning Show. That's right. It might not be a lot of news today, but we are breaking down this culture right here that is being lived in Americas. And I think sometimes it's very important that we go ahead and do that instead of just, giving you what's going on around the world, especially when you got academia like Dr. Ball, lawyers like Kamal K. Franklin, and analysts like Burn It Down Kim Brown, and ponderers like me. All right, so boom, let's talk about hitting that like button. Let's go and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And also, let's go ahead and go to patreon.com, become a member over there so you can see footage that's rare. All right, I wanted to give a artist spotlight to some, I seen this and I was like, you know what? He's all right here. Some new talent coming out. Goes by the name of Rashad Jamal. So we're going to check out this video real quick as we take a quick music break. This is called Black Power Moves. Let's go.
1, 2, nigga, yeah. 1986 bout the Sirius X. 90 the being. That's when I landed, nigga. Real God talk. I told you y'all got like 1 month to get y'all shit in order, man. Chi-town, young nigga shooting out the gangway. Had 6 9s in the hood way before a Treyway. And my blood, so I never did Treyway. Used to watch the work, whip it up, make it nay-nay. Now I'm spending days daddy time with my daughter Lele and my wife Zakia. We love smoking reefer. I practice polygamy, but I will never leave her. And I don't trust the soul. I know Brutus killed Caesar, Birdman, Snake Wayne, Judas turned on Jesus. And let's not act like Jay and Day may sacrifice Aaliyah. Rappers sell their souls and sell themselves through your speakers. And I can't send my son to church cause most rapists is preachers. But my granny a Christian, so she act like she don't see it. Just keep paying her ties to show her Jesus that she mean it. Damn, the CIA called me a leader. So they study my lectures, they admire how I'm thinking. They somewhere eating mangoes, letting my speeches tango. They wanna know how I know stargates is rainbows. About them underground cities they own and shit. About the Mach 5 synthetic clones and shit. And how black folks never came ownership. I'm talking independence, that black ownership. And how black folk never came ownership. I'm talking independence, that black ownership. For real. Black folk, like, hold on, we don't need to get violent. But we already marched, the police still getting violent. Made a virus for niggas and we ain't meant to survive it. The folks won't leave us alone, all this ain't Gilligan's Island.
It ain't. All right, so there you go. That is Rashad Jamal right there. You can go check him out. Check out some more music he got. All right, that's your artist spotlight for the day. Let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning Crew. Now we do. Yeah.
That was dope. Ow. Just hit myself in the face. That was dope.
Yeah.
I'm old. I can't even. It's like, it's not. I'm not the audience. I'm just not the audience anymore.
Yeah, and he to me exhibits the crisis of methodology that I think we're struggling with right now. So,
but
and there's some
a long line of rappers that struggle with that methodology.
No question. But I think, and there's some wild accusations about him apparently in the chat that make it look even worse. So I don't know if any of that's true, but I don't know anything about him, but I hope it's not true.
It was funny in class yesterday when I was teaching about different genres. I played Afrobeat and I played some Fela. And I almost got into the discussion about polygamy when I said he had like 50 wives and stuff. And one of the kids was like, "Oh, he was pimping." I was like, "Nah, he wasn't pimping. He was married to these women." And then I almost got into why
still could be pimping.
Huh?
Still could be pimping.
I mean,
with a license, with a marriage license,
a license to pimp.
I broke down the mathematics a little bit, but I was like, I don't want to get too deep. You know what I mean? Why polygamy is what it is and why it was needed.
Man,
needed? You said needed?
I mean, maybe not. I just broke down the math. If you have two women and one guy, within 9 months, you can have two babies. If you got two guys and one woman, then you can only have.
This is not.
Then
no.
You
two guys and one woman.
Closest to the mic than she's ever been, with a disgust look on her face. Just by that one statement.
If you got two guys and one woman, then you can only, within that 9 months, you can only have one child. So it was about the numbers. It was about multiplying. Therefore, you have more than one woman because you can have more than one kid within 9 months once you have a number of women.
I'm sorry, I have to take my child out of this class. This is not why I sent my child.
I didn't get into it though.
This is not the sampling. This is not the sampling lesson that I thought my kids was getting there, Doc. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to withdraw my son out of your program because
why people don't like the mathematics of why polygamy is what it is.
I mean, it's a larger issue of this. Yeah, I mean,
and there's more numbers to add up too.
But it's not pimping. That was my main thing. It's not pimping because he's married these women. He's not out here. He's not out here putting them on the whole stroll and just going and cheating. He has wives. They know each other. It's not pimping. So I had to break down the difference between
sex workers know each other.
So he was pimping. Wait a minute. So from y'all adults right here, Fela was pimping, or was he married?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that use. I'm just was pointing to maybe the flaw in that particular argument you were making. That's all.
That's what everybody does.
It's like a colloquial use of the word pimping, as in not literally he's putting women on the stroll.
Right.
But pimping is in, he's
pimping the game.
He's got a lot of women pimping. I think they made it more like that. And you took it literal, and you had to make the difference in your mind, at least, between polygamy and pimping, which got you to your mathematics around why polygamy is.
if we're talking about our culture, what we leave that out? Polygamy is not a part of our culture.
Everything about African culture does not make it good. So let me start there. Two, I was going to say polygamy also speaks to the worldwide cultural phenomenon of misogyny, right? So, like again, even if we hone in on Western habits or hip hop habits derived from larger things that people have seen and been taught in society, it's not strictly a Western appetite for misogyny. So to be clear, other cultures, including African-based cultures, Middle Eastern-based cultures, Asian-based cultures, Western cultures, all native cultures. I know we always have the one example of the native group that did such and such and such. All these cultures, if you look at them, if you peel back, you see a lot of misogyny, right? So it's not just about capitalism. It's not like socialism cures it by itself or something along those lines. Economic systems don't cure misogyny and patriarchy. Those are steep in culture and will take other forms of work in terms of sort of beating that back or playing that out or undoing the layers to talk thoroughly about. And and again, maybe at some point, historically speaking, you might have a point in terms of polygamy or people who or having kids, like the reason why folks had so many kids or whatever was somewhat of a survival like thing, right? People talk about in some societies, why we have places where folks had so many kids versus here in sort of modern Western society. And part of it is like there's no social security. So part of it is people are having kids to work the land, to be a part of the larger family, to take care of the older folks when they got older. And then when sort of a Western or capitalist culture kind of knocks that away and people do other things. But there's a lot of things that happen that, again, we may not have all the time and energy and reason and resources to bring it out right now. But, patriarchy and misogyny obviously are not just limited to Western cultures. Right? So I think, again, we always find those examples of when, Africans did this and Native people did that. But for me, at least my reading and understandings of history is you had far more kings, far more ways in which women were treated as closer to property, again, even outside of capitalist frameworks, than not. And so I think those kind of those discussions or ways in which we end those relationships even have to do with critiquing parts of our own cultures. I think the whole thing of female genital mutilation, right, is part of different cultures who thought at some point they were doing something that was indigenous to their culture. They did this because they thought they had a reason to. It doesn't mean it didn't derive from capitalism. And so it doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be called out because it was it's a misogynist, obviously debilitating practice that because it was not innate, but because it was learned through time and integrated into a particular culture, doesn't make it, something we need to carry on anymore, right? There's vestiges of the past that we need to call out, leave behind. And I'm not saying, even when I'm saying this, I'm not saying polygamy is one of them per se, because polygamy can go both ways. And if it's okay for polygamy to go both ways, and again, people are consenting adults, as in a woman can have 2 or 3 husbands if she wants, and folks consent to it, and if a man can have 2 or 3 wives, I have no problem with that. But as long as we understand that there's historical frameworks in which these things develop, and there's reasons why they did not develop that way for the most part, and did develop in the other way.
And I just think we should stop shunning the whole practice as being a bad thing, because like you just said, it's good and it could be bad depending on the situation. So I just wanted to bring that up when I was talking about Fela. All right,
It's not what I said.
Anyway, all right. So that's your break for today. I might be back.
Oh,
Please come back.
Please come back.
Come back, Ear Doctor.
Don't ever leave us. Don't ever leave us.
Yes. Anyway, remixers, thank you all so much for not leaving us, for being present. Over 400 strong rocking with us right now in the chat. Let's try to get those likes to correspond with our number of live viewers, please and thank you. It's Black Power Media, Thursday edition of the Remix Morning Show. Kamal, Jared, KB, Ear Doctor in the building. Story-wise, gentlemen, is there someplace specific anybody would like to go? If not,
Oh no, you got one?
It could wait if you got something more deck.
I don't know if mine is pressing. It's the story about the Texas kid who with the hairstyle. You got something better than that? You want to do something else?
Well, let's keep it light. So let's go to your story first, and then we'll go to my story. How about that?
Okay. Now I'm scared of your story.
Mm.
So apparently, and I didn't know it happened the first time, but there's a story that Texas high school sends black student back to in-school suspension
Oh shit!
over his locks hairstyle. It says Dow George was suspended for 13 days because his hair is out of compliance when let down, according to a disciplinary notice issued by his Texas high school. And this is him. He's 17 years old, standing with his mom outside of the high school September 18th. And basically, a Texas high school sent a black student back to in-school suspension Tuesday for refusing to change his hairstyle, renewing a months-long standoff over a dress code policy the team's family calls discriminatory. The student, Dow George, was suspended for 13 days because his hair is out of compliance when let down, according to a disciplinary notice issued by Barbers Hill, I guess no pun included, but it included Barbers Hill High School. It was the first day back at school after spending a month at an off-site disciplinary program. All of this for a hairstyle?
Yes.
George, 18, already has spent more than 80% of his junior year outside of his regular classroom. He was first pulled from the classroom at the Houston area school in August after school officials said his braided locks fell below his eyebrows and earlobes and violated the district's dress code. His family argues the punishment violated the Crown Act, which became law in Texas in September, and is intended to prohibit race-based hair discrimination. The school says the Crown Act does not address hair length. And it says, we're just trying to take it day by day. That's all we're trying to do, his mother said. The dress code policy at Barbers Hill attracted headlines in 2020 when a black student was forbidden to return to school or attend his graduation ceremony unless he cut his locks. George Pooh, the district superintendent, has said the policy is legal and has said the policy is legal and teaches students to confirm as a sacrifice benefiting everyone.
Fuck you.
And then lastly, it said the school officials said George was sent to the disciplinary program. It's like a fucking re-education camp for violating the dress code and the tardy policy, disrupting the in-school suspension classroom and not complying with school directives. So the school district has filed a lawsuit in state district court asking a judge to clarify whether its dress code restrictions limiting students' hair length for boys violate the Crown Act. State rep. So basically, I was going to get to that. So in their own sort of like misogynistic way of disciplining boys, or their own way of discipline is like, so you can't have a hairstyle that apparently goes below so any hairstyle that's not a close crop hairstyle is apparently a violation of the school's dress code.
Because you can't have these boys out here with long hair like girls. Long hair is for girls. Boys, y'all can't. Y'all not allowed. I never see stories about white children disciplined in this way. Never. And I'm sorry. And I went to school with white kids. I know all of them do not wash and groom themselves well. You understand? And that's not a diss. But my point is, whether or not it was the high school athlete, the black boy who was a wrestler, who was forbidden from participating in the wrestling meet until the fucking referee, I believe, cut his hair off right there in the gym so the child could participate. Like, I just need to know when this happens to white kids. Like, when does this ever happen to white kids? Over hair. And we talking about white people. You think all them white people's in compliance? Absolutely not. Some of them sent their children to hair with their hair intentionally out of compliance, just because they dare somebody to say something. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing to Cooper. Son, don't worry. Prince ain't gonna say shit because your hair is dusting your shoulders. Like, it's just the blatant anti-blackness. It's so exhausting. And I'm looking at that mother standing in front of the school or the Board of Education with her child, and I'm thinking about, in some ways, Linda Brown. Brown versus Board of Education, like the links that Black parents have had to go to in this country just so their children can have access to education, and the ways in which the institutions will do whatever they can to fall all over themselves to deny Black children this. Oh, it's your hair. Oh, your pants is down too low. Oh, your hoodie's too big. Oh, your hair color is too pink or too blonde or whatever. It's a distraction. But it's like, only Black people's hair is a distraction, or an indigenous. Let me shout out to the indigenous people. They've had to deal with a lot regarding their hairstyles as well. But white children, never. White parents, never. This is never some shit they got to encounter.
They ain't got no flavor like us.
Okay, but your doctor don't even know what to say to that.
It's also just infuriating because at no point is there this level of concern for the fact that maybe his and his parents' bank accounts are too low, or their health care benefits are too low, or they're worried about the hair is too low, but not things that really matter, because it is, as people are saying in the chat. I mean, it's infuriating. I thought we were going to, you said this is going to be a lighter story. I'm enraged, and I know the one you got pulling up for us is even worse.
Worse, yeah.
But the idea, because I saw that video too I just don't, I can't, it's hard to say what anyone would do in a certain moment, but I can't imagine watching a ref put his hands on my child and cut his hair. I can't imagine somebody. I'm enraged right now. I'm over here, like, the smile is fake as hell. I'm like, man, this is crazy. So yeah, I don't have anything unstrike worthy to say.
I mean, Jared, imagine you're at the soccer match.
I can't.
Your child's public school system soccer match, and she's wearing braids for whatever reason, and the ref was like, oh, those braids are a violation. Come here, but we can resolve this. Let me just take these scissors and cut these braids off real quick on the sideline. Everybody getting fought.
There was a game where a ref sort of snapped at my daughter in instructing her on a penalty or something, and I was like on my way to the field, like just off of that, like having, to be recalled, and so I just can't imagine. I just can't. I don't. And the other part that makes me so angry is that it's that you're antagonizing. You want me to walk out on the field. You want that moment. And for some reason it makes it hard. It's like knowing that that's your goal makes it like, it doesn't help me calm down. It's like the knowing that you're messing with. Yes, I so desperately want to. And I just can't imagine.
But to your point, though, about the further antagonism. So the young man was placed on in-school suspension because of the failure to be in compliance with the dress code or whatever the fuck. And then you heard all the other shit now he's being hit with. Disrupting in-school suspension, failure to comply with school direct. This is just like real life in the law, right? The police pull you over for a busted tail light. Y'all might have words. Now it's disorderly conduct. Now it's
resisting. Now it's obstruction. Now I gotta tase you. Now I gotta throw you to the ground. I gotta throw some handcuffs. Now I gotta put my dog on you. Now I gotta hit you in the head. Now I gotta take out my gun because somehow you got my gun in the handcuffs, and that's exactly
because you saw that video. Remember that one? I think it's also in Texas where the white cop is literally throwing that black girl around in her bikini because she's at some pool party.
Yes.
It's jail time. I mean, it's like I too. I like. I
Or
don't know.
worse, I mean, I could very easily see like somebody not going home. I can't. I just can't.
It will be you, by the way. It will be you who won't be going home. But ultimately, just to be clear
Totally.
about it. Yeah, yeah.
Totally.
But that's what it is at that point. It's just like, how dare you put your hand on my kid?
And I gotta choose. I gotta choose death or incarceration because you threw my child to the ground. Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's oh my God. I'm in here like I don't mean to overshare. I think I got to take another shower. I'm sweating through my seat right now. I'm so angry.
Hey, F Hickory Ridge and Jared come from Wishing Nigga Woods.
No, but see, that's the point. I really don't. I love the sentiment, but I don't. Because I do. Because I do. I mean,
Every Brink Lane was kind of whatever Columbia version of a Wish a Nigga Woods. Every Brink Lane, a little bit, JB. Now it don't look like Section 8 to everybody else. The people coming from Baltimore, they're like, "This is y'all Section 8." Be like, "Yes, it is." But it is the every Brink Lane. It's real over there, ain't it, JB? Tell them.
It is. It is, and then it is. And what's worse is that, well, if there's a worse, it's the juxtaposition to money. You see the money right down the street. Like every day you walk outside, like you don't have blocks of poverty to deal with. You have just like one. And then everybody else in concentric circles got more and more and more, and they right there. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was the exact opposite. It was supposed to make me want to integrate into that. And it just makes me angry. Just makes me want to just, how dare you live like that in my face? It's like, that's why on some level, on a very low level, I appreciate the Palestinians even more. Because it's like, I got to look over there and you live like that right there in my house? Son. I'm like, because I'm looking down the street, that wasn't even mine. And I'm like, you shouldn't have it.
Resistance is real.
I'm like, so yeah, I just feel all of that. All of that. I just,
like, for the mom, the family, in terms of like the resources they have to pour out, the stress that they have to go through. Like their kid is not in school for 30 days at some basically with I half jokingly like some re-education camp.
That's what it was.
That is it.
Yeah, they're putting him someplace else or whatever. And he's not with his classmates, and he's got to struggle through this now, and there's all that debate. Do you have it in your head? Oh, should I just cut him and so I can go to school? Should I just give in? I remember after I graduated from law school, I was asked to come back and speak to the BOSA students, the black students at my school, like maybe 7-8 years later, whatever. And part of the dialogue was like, as a radical lawyer, challenging systems, blah, blah, blah. And the dude asked me a question. I was like, it was either a dude or a sister. I can't even remember anymore. But it was really about them having locks and going to a corporate law firm, and whether or not they keep their locks or whether or not they shave them in order to go to a corporate law firm. Mm. These are like, these are the continual dilemmas of hiding or shading or pushing back your blackness or your expression of who you are, to make white folks feel comfortable in these settings because they quote unquote invited us in at a large amount of payment, right? So, and from that vantage point for them, it's a real contemplation because they're not thinking about it in radical mode or resistance mode or fuck you mode, whatever. It's like, do I give up this potential paycheck and what I can do to feed my family? This is the box we're put in. And I'm sure, again, these families are families who have never been politicized. These things are hopefully politicized them to agree. But, in a lot of ways, a lot of them are just like, I'm trying to send my kid to school. My kid likes this hairstyle. It looks good on them. And they're going to school. They're not even making a political statement for them, right? It could just be like, I like this hairstyle. But some white person is looking at it going like, oh, what is that? What is this African thing you're doing? Or what is this black thing you're doing? That's not allowed.
I mean, existing as openly black, as unapologetically black, especially in mixed spaces, but even mostly white spaces. I mean, that is a challenge. That is a political statement, right? Just your appearance, just you showing up with your hair in locks or, your dress a certain way. That is a political statement, whether or not you're intending to make it or not. And it kind of like this situation with this young man sort of further illuminates some of the pointlessness of some of any sort of tiny political power we may have that got the Crown Act passed in Texas, specifically talk about Texas here. The Crown Act, it's on the books. The law for the child to be able to come to school with his hair as is on the fucking books. And again, just like all the other laws, allegedly giving Black people equal access to spaces, equal access to education, like that, them shits is transitory. That shit might be on the books. That don't mean nothing if nobody's willing to enforce it. Like you could legally have all the rights that you want, but to be Black in this country, you have no rights, even if the law is on the books, even if it's in the Constitution, even if it's in the human rights. You ain't got it. You ain't got it. And they remind you of that as often as they possibly can. I feel terrible for this family, especially for the mom and for the student. And it's like, what are their alternatives? Keep sending the kid to the alternative school. Chances are they don't have the resources to just up and move. You know what I mean? Move him to another school system or drive him to another school system. That may not even be plausible. So this is the resistance. This kid wants to exist the way that he wants to present himself to the world. His family backs him on that. But what now is to become of him if he's not even allowed to have access to the institution that he's supposed to have in public school? So now what?
That is mandated that he goes to, right? Like that's probably the mandated school he has to go to. But if you don't conform,
like I told y'all, in my 8th grade, my box fade right here,
yeah,
right here in the middle,
killing them
with the box.
Wow.
This was my Catholic school. You see all the Black
where
people
you at?
in my
Which one
class.
you at?
Right there,
Right there in the middle.
The
You
bright
see the
one.
box fade with the little
high
dye
back,
right
yeah.
there.
You're looking a little looking a little Asian, yeah.
I can't.
I was the Asian kid with a box fade. I wasn't sure.
you see all them Black kids in that class. It was ridiculous.
With the white man at the top. The white man at the
Monsignor
top.
Toomey. That was his name. Bastard. But I guess we could take a quick break because that was a lot, y'all. Woo, man, y'all got a great show today. We talked about American culture with rapists and polygamy, and we talked about hairstyles, and it's a whole lot. So we need to take a quick break. That's cool with y'all?
That's good.
You ain't even got to go nowhere. Y'all can stay right
Tell
there.
me that quick?
That quick. All right, right here on the Remix Morning Show. All right. Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and go to patreon.com and go to Black Power Media and become a member there so you can get footage that's rare, all in one breath. Yeah. All right, so what we're going to talk about real quick is we're going to give an artist spotlight. Talk about one sister that came out. She goes by the name of Antoinette. Who is Antoinette? Lavelle Patterson, coming straight out of New York. That's right. She came out from the Bronx. She came out in the 80s, and she had a song where a lot of people remember her for having a beef with MC Lyte. Well, we can see whose career lasted longer, so we know who won that battle. All right, so she came out with this song, I Got an Attitude, in 87, and it was produced by Herbie Lovebug. Yes, we talked about him with Kwame yesterday. So he was putting them all out. So it was part of Herbie Lovebug's camp also. She had 2 albums, Who's the Boss and Burning at 20 Below. But you might know her singles right here, I Got an Attitude. And she got some other ones, Unfinished Business and Who's the Boss. All right, with that said, that is no other than Antoinette. You want to go here? You can hear that those 2 albums. That's about it. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning crew. You know how we do.
Little rumors causing tumors that I might break, but I'll never break. I just arrest the crowd. There's no ifs, no ands when it's pumped up loud, cause I'm a Russian.
Whew, they used to call her the female Rock M.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Her voice, you hear her voice?
From the back of the pit, no, it ain't no trick. I got rhymes that'll rock ya, beat that'll knock ya.
Yeah.
I
No, she
love
had
the
flow.
delivery. Yeah.
Yeah. Good delivery.
I don't know if she deserved the spotlight, but
I mean, she did have.
She had a couple albums, man.
She had a couple, and she had a known beef with MC Lyte, which is how a lot of the sisters got on. Was
her beef with MC Lyte?
Yeah, I honestly don't remember.
Yeah,
does MC Lyte remember the beef?
Oh, yeah.
She might not.
Yeah. It was a little beef back in because Salt and Pepper had to come in on Showstoppers, the battle in Ricky D and Dougie Fresh, and so did she. She came in on the beef with MC Light, so that's what they did back in the day. Beef. Let's eat.
It's definitely one of them Yo MTV Raps kind of rappers, right? Like a rapper you never heard on the radio, or at least I never did. But the only way I knew about their existence is through the video, right? Either the box or Yo MTV Raps, or maybe late, maybe I guess Rap City a little later. But yeah, I remember seeing her, but I could not for the life of me tell you the name of one of her songs, unfortunately.
That's really it. Attitude. I got an attitude. That's really her biggest and only hit. All right, I'm out.
Thank you, Air
You're gonna
Doctor.
do a mix at the end of the show, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. Just checking.
See, Kamau always needs the confirmation.
You'll try to get away.
Well, yeah, because he gets a little shady with the mixes, and he gets real clock watchy.
I'm always clock watchy.
All right, tell him, Air Doctor, and pocket watchy. Tell him, Air Doctor.
Watching my pockets.
That's right.
And remember, that was the other part of Cam and Mace's line, that pocket watching leads to ear hustling, which leads to pillow talk, which leads to backstabbing. So don't forget this, the Cam and Mace syllogism. Is that a syllogism? I can't remember. Is that a syllogism or is that a tautology? I can't remember.
A tautology.
See, you're just showing off now, Jared. Okay. Yes.
No, I'm not. I'm really not.
You're not a PhD, Jared. You ain't got a stunt on us.
No. The only reason those words are fresh in my mind is from watching these atheist debates, where the philosophers get into these debates, and then they start getting into, and it reminds me that I may have a PhD, but there's levels to this.
You got to play a hater degree. You watching me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's. But just quickly, speaking of that, though, I do want to shout out the members of Morgan State's Black Underground, who are doing some really good work at Morgan, and with that student activist tradition, and had me up way past my bedtime last night at one of their meetings where they felt that I would have something to offer, which was nice and humbling and a nice little honor. And they had a lot of praise for BPM and for BAP, and for by the end, even community movement builders. I had to bring Kamal's stuff up in it, like all of our affiliated FTP, all of it. Like I was everybody got to. But they're big supporters of the work happening here, and looking for that kind of non-colonial or anti-colonial faculty support. So it was cool.
Got to get a national organization going. Every time I talk to students these days, I keep telling them, it's like, I need a national organization. I told the Harvard students, I've been telling the students here in Georgia, and they always want to do these on campus. I was like, stop with the only on campus. Hook up with other students. Like, I don't care if it's multi.
That's a really good idea.
I don't care if it's a national Black organization, but you got to do something that's national in scope, and then you hook up with some organizations that are off campus, because otherwise, when you leave, unless you've already trained up some people, it starts to die out. Mm-hmm. Those campus organizations that are solo.
That's what we talked about last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, I just have not seen anything this radical in all my years at Morgan from students, and this involved. So, I mean, Morgan to me has been sort of an apolitical space, even more than the average campus. And so this has just been, I mean, they're really impressive. But I think that's a good point, and I'm gonna bring that to them too. I'm gonna suggest that to them too. I didn't think of that.
Getting that
myself
SNCC tradition. That's SNCC. Let's go.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So shout out to them, and and thanks to them as well. So yeah, I looked at the run sheet. The run sheet is just more of the same misery. It's just like all thematic misery. Okay,
I got to update on some misery, if you don't mind. I emailed the story to both you and Kamau, so whoever gets to it first.
The race is on.
This is a disappointing. Let's say disappointing. Disappointing is a nice way to put it. This is a very, very disappointing outcome and result to a story that we brought you earlier this week. here in Prince George's County, Maryland. It was the murder trial of a Prince George's County police officer by the name of Michael Owen, who shot. There's not. I can't even say accused of shooting. No, he shot William Green, who was handcuffed in Owens's patrol car, handcuffed, arms behind his back, and this PG County cop shot this man 6 times. Shot him 6 times, and finally, over 3 years, nearly 4 years after this incident took place, like I said, originally in January of 2020, this week was Michael Owen's murder trial in Prince George's County, and the verdict has been reached. And let's let NBC Washington take it away.
As a jury failed them. That jury found a police officer not guilty of murder for shooting and killing William Green inside a police cruiser. It took that jury just about 2 hours to make that decision, and that decision brought chaos to the courtroom. Thanks for staying up with us. I'm Jim Hadley.
And I'm Leon Harris. Sean is off tonight. For the first time in 3 years, Officer Michael Owen is a free man tonight, but Green's family believes that he does not deserve a second chance.
This person has evil in his heart. And whether he's a civilian from now on or a policeman, he's going to kill again. He's going to continue to harm people because he don't know any different.
2 years ago, Prince George's County agreed to pay Green's family $20 million. It was the largest settlement in county history.
But as News 4's Darcy Spencer explains tonight, the family believes justice slipped through the cracks.
I was in the courtroom when the not guilty verdicts were read, and all 5 charges Michael Owen found not guilty. Then the courtroom erupted into chaos. There were many people on the victim's side, William Green, who were very upset, very emotional. Many of them walked out of the courtroom even before all of the verdicts were read. At one point, I did see one person taken into custody in handcuffs. There was another person inside the courtroom who passed out and got physically sick. Now, Michael Owen was found not guilty on all charges, including second-degree murder. That was the most serious charge. He did take the stand in his own defense, saying that he felt in fear for his life when he fired those shots. He's shooting William Green 6 times, and Green was handcuffed behind his back in Owen's patrol car back in January of 2020 when this happened. But again, the jury finding him not guilty on all charges, and the state's attorney told us that she was disappointed but respects the jury's decision.
There were only 2 people in the vehicle that night that could tell us what happened. And unfortunately, one of them is no longer with us.
And there's no justice in this country for Black and brown people. This is proof. I don't know how bad it has to get for police to be held accountable for their actions.
This is a sad day in Prince George's County today because I thought there would be some semblance of justice today for the Green family, for the heinous murder.
Owen had been suspended without pay from the Prince George's County Police Department, and he was being held without bond. Now that he's been acquitted on all charges, he's expected to be released from custody. In Upper Marlboro, Darcy Spencer, News 4.
There's a lot. Go ahead, Jared.
The story claims that while handcuffed behind his back, he somehow got the officer's revolver and pointed it at him. And it required a struggle for the where the officer was then able to fire one shot and then several others in quick success.
The magical Negro.
Yeah. Oh, that was referred to several times in the trial. The superhuman strength of William Green because he was allegedly high on PCP.
On PCP, of course. Of course.
But
and remember, this guy is going to get, he was found not guilty. The union, the police union, they're going to get him 3 years worth of back pay. He's probably going to attempt to get some compensation for spending 3 years locked up. He's going to have an opportunity potentially to be back on the police force. If he's not on that police force, some other police force and or sheriff's department will pick him up and give him a job. All of that is about to happen. All of that is about to happen.
To your point, Kamau, I mean, that's what I thought of when, he was found not guilty. Thought about the officer who was, recently acquitted in the death of Elijah McClain, who was reinstated back to the Aurora Police Department with $200,000 in back pay. I said, oh, Michael Owen about to get about that. That sounded about right. He about to get about $250,000 in back pay for being suspended without pay for all of this time. I mean, I was extremely disappointed that in PG County, in black ass PG County, and I know all y'all class people about to correct me and be like, see, that's why you should analyze, race and class. But I was just stunned. In black ass PG County, a black man is murdered, handcuffed, shot 6 times by a cop, and the cop is acquitted of everything. And as angry as I am at the jury's decision, I have to lay the blame really at the feet of the prosecutors, because y'all must have presented a fucking piss poor case. How? You have to tell me how. How was this cop's version of events really doesn't seem like it was challenged very well by the prosecutors at all? Because I'm like, dog, you're gonna have to come up out the witness box and show me how somebody with their hands handcuffed managed to get your gun and point while in a car seat, basically. How in the hell they had their hands handcuffed behind them and point a gun at you? And Owens even alleged that Mr. Green kicked his police radio out of his hand. How? Like, you're gonna have to show me how. And it sounds like the prosecutors just accepted Owens' version of events and was trying to catch him on that. I'm like, this nigga is clearly fucking lying. I
mean, all of it. If you're that afraid, where was the backup? Why are you there one-on-one? If this PCP enraged, superhuman strength.
Put the handcuffs on him.
How did you get the handcuffs on him? How do you if the gun in the front seat in the car? That's right.
Yes.
And if you have, see, that's the same. And then if the gun is holstered, even if you're not in handcuffs, you can't just pull it out. You can't just reach over and take the gun out the cops. You got to know what you're doing. It's not some. I mean, so what? There's all kind. And then it only took them 2 hours.
2 hours, Jerry.
So to your point about the prosecutor's case, it was that whack. It didn't even make them think for beyond an extended lunch period. Like this is bananas.
Yeah,
this is bananas right here.
He testified. He stood there. What could the cross-examination look like? Thank you, Mr. Owens. You can step down now. I mean, I don't. So Mr.
all
Owens,
of that. Why was he in the front seat? Case over. Your whole story got to be ruined. Why is he in the front seat?
What isn't that already a violation of police procedure? Who puts a person who's been arrested in the front seat? Something else was going on, obviously, in that car that night. But whatever was going on, that cop took his gun out, pointed it, and shot 6 times and killed somebody who had handcuffs on behind their back. It makes no. Yeah, I mean, I think you're completely. This is all about the prosecution. The prosecution siding with the cops, being a cop, supporting the cops. Again, when they want to try to get a real conviction, they know how to do it. This case was thrown from the beginning, and I think we even mentioned that when we talked about the other day that the response, at least from what we heard about some of the prosecution questions, kind of was giving cover to the story as opposed to challenging the story. And so again, I mean, the one faulty statement that the person connected to the family gave was that this proves this ain't proof. This is an add-on to a proof a fact that's already established, that Black people don't get justice in the United States. This is another add-on story that we have. And no, there's no other retrial. Someone just asked. The only thing that could potentially happen, and it all depends on whether or not this was already looked into, is that he can be brought up on civil rights charges by the feds, which can also be criminal charges. So, which I doubt they're going to do, but that would be the only possible way. This person is free and in the clear on these particular charges. That's it.
So it was also revealed, just to give you an indication of, the extent of the corruption within the Prince George's County Police Department. While Officer Owens was awaiting trial, it was revealed that he was allegedly part of, I believe, some sort of fraud scheme that other county officers were involved, that included billing the county for, overtime while working like a side security job that was owned by a business by a person who was also a police. So Owens is allegedly involved in this sort of schematics as well. But just to give you just as a further indication, like the corruption, like you could kill people, you could steal money from the county, you could double dip. Like this is what the police get to do. You know what I mean? And again, someone shot 6 times while handcuffed, and there's no justice for that. There's no accountability. The family got a $20 million settlement, but as you heard from the reaction in the courtroom, that you can keep that $20 million, put this motherfucker in jail. You know what I'm saying? Put him in jail.
Cost of doing business.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, we got to pay the cost, or he got to pay the cost of doing business with these remixers who earned this mix again by showing up in great numbers. So
just us. They said just us. That's what we getting. Just justice for just us.
That's what I'm saying. Black cop did the killing. Black prosecutor did the prosecution. It's like, what the fuck? Who are we supposed to? Who's?
Let me give shout out to people that contributed to the cause today. DC Joe Black, $5. Rap snitches, kitches for all the BPM doubters. Thank you, host. I don't know what that means.
Thank you, DC Joe Black.
But
Thank you.
Know what $5 mean? Law or Brian.
Laura Brarian.
Oh, so they're like a librarian.
Lawyer-brarian.
Okay. Don't mind me just doing a little more than clicking, subscribe, and like. No, you tell them, Law Librarian.
Right on. Thank you very much.
And Raj coming straight out of What's Happening. $50. It's a damn shame that there has to be a policy for us to be able to wear our hair how we want to, or how it naturally grows out of our scalp. That's right. Tell them, Raj.
Thank you, Raj.
Thank you, Raj.
No rerun, no rent. All right, so let's go
Raj,
ahead.
no rerun.
Y'all know about that right there.
Man, they need to show What's Happening again. So somewhere it needs to be running What's Happening on syndication.
Big up to Shirley. Big up to D. Big up to the
D.
father that was like Maybach. Oh.
Where would the father? Where was he? Did he pass away? Where would the father go?
I don't.
The father came in and out.
I don't remember the father.
He was a
I don't remember the father either.
Yeah, he had a big mustache. He'd be like, now Maybach. Oh, don't be like that.
The big mustache nigga, right, ear doctor?
Yep. Big mustache dude.
Damn.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we go get to a mix. I gotta be out of here at 10. So we're gonna give y'all a little something. I got a 10:40. I gotta be out. All right, boom. So let's get it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Mandrell.
A Mama's Biscuit's favorite.
Organize your life. Discipline makes things easier. Organize your life.
That's right, y'all.
It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be
remix.
It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be fine. So if you take a smile, baby, still darkness lingers in